Now let's take a look at the story of a daredevil. He has jumped from the Eiffel Tower in Paris and Angel Falls in Venezuela. And on Saturday, wearing a special wingsuit, Jeb Corliss leapt from a helicopter and flew through a narrow crack in East China's Mount Jianglang. Ian Williams reports.
This was a spectacular stunt, even by Jeb Corliss's dizzying standards, and all the more so because for much of Saturday it looked like it wouldn't happen. The clouds were covering the mountains, the peaks had whirling winds around them, and Corliss himself thought it was simply too dangerous to try.
It's basically touching the top of the mountain, so I can't get the altitude to leave the helicopter to fly through it anyways.
But later in the day, the clouds began to clear, the wind fell, so up he went in a helicopter, even then a little uncertain about whether he'd be able to jump. But after circling once above these spectacular peaks, 3 of them soaring into the air, aiming for this little crack between 2 of them, he launched himself out of the chopper and down into that crack. Now, the crack is about 60 feet wide at the top, 15 feet wide at the bottom. He went through there very, very fast and very close to the wall. As he came out of the other end, he opened his chute before landing. It looked like a heavy landing, but he was fine. And afterwards, he was absolutely ecstatic.
It was the single gnarliest thing I've ever done in my life, without a doubt. I have never, ever experienced anything more hardcore, period.
He said it had been the most spectacular and scary stunt that he'd ever done, and that at one point he reckoned he was perhaps 2 feet away from that wall.
When I landed at the landing area and I wasn't hurt, I was like, that is about as close to impossible. I'm like, that was impossible. I cannot believe that just happened.
Certainly spectacular, and the enormous Chinese audience watching this would have been absolutely thrilled. And Corliss himself has said he'll come back because there are many other places which he reckons are also spectacular, although I'd say he'd be pushed to find somewhere quite as dramatic as this.